Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. Today, we're going to be looking at Chapter 1.4 Notes or Sketching Intersections. Let's start with the very basics here, ladies and gentlemen. Number one here. We have two lines that intersect each other. What happens is that they form a point. As you can locate and see right there, when lines L and lines M come together, forming the point of A. Think of this as like an intersection with a road. If you were to have two roads, let's just call them Almond and Gages Lake Road. They form that particular intersection or that point of location. Number two here, we have two planes intersect at a line. Again, just very basic. Nothing too difficult to come from this. And then last but not least here, we have a line and a plane. They also intersect at a point. One way to look at this is if you were to practice your archery skills, which I know you guys do every single day of your lives. If you were to shoot that arrow at a target, that arrow that goes into the target would probably be the best representation of what it would look like when a line and a point meet. These are your three basic intersections that you will be looking at, and they all, as you will see, will tie down to what we have coming next. This is the majority of what you will see on homework, quizzes, and of tests when dealing with intersections. So for number one, it tells us the intersection of line FJ and line KM. Where do they intersect at? Well, as you can see, we've got FJ right there, and we have KM right here. Where do those two lines intersect at? Right there, where you see G, point G. And this is what you will continue to do throughout the other examples. So for number two, we've got line NP, as you can see right here, and you've got line KM right there. Where do they intersect at? Whammo. Good old point L. And last right here, when talking about just the intersection of two lines, we've got NP, line NP, and then we've got line FJ. And where do those two lines intersect at? Good old-fashioned letter H. So that's, again, just the very basics as far as what it's going to look like when you have two lines that intersect with each other. Moving on, let's take a look at our intersections between two planes. Well, if I have here planes A, B, and C, again, when those two planes intersect with each other, they form a line. So if I've got plane B, like you see right here, and I've got this real long plane of plane C, which line is formed from the two intersections? Well, here's that line. And as you can see in this really weird looking E, the intersection there is at line E. For number two, same kind of idea. You're looking for plane A, and you're also looking for plane B. Now it's asking for an intersection. Well, as you can see here, those two planes will never, ever touch. They're parallel instead. So therefore, the intersection of plane A and B is non-existent. We will put then just none or no. I'm going to put an exclamation point to emphasize how I feel about this. Last but not least, we're looking at intersection of planes A and C. Here's plane A, and again, plane C. And which line is formed from those two planes? Well, it's the magical line of line D. So again, this is going to be probably your most basic format of what you'll be seeing in quizzes, tests, homework, etc., as far as what you'll be having to do when asked where points or lines are formed from intersections of lines and planes. Now we're going to take your artistic skills and we're going to put them to the test. we're going to do a little sketching. I know you're going to love this. I love it too. So let's start off with, here we got a plane and a line that intersect. Well, what does that look like? Well, let's get our plane going here first. I know, it's magic. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's probably the best plane you've ever seen in your entire life. We're going to call that plane E. And what happens, again, is when a line intersects the plane, you're forming a point. So again, let's take a look at, there's your line. Here's the point that's formed. And then we've got these dotted lines to show that it's kind of hidden underneath that plane. That is then line J. And there you have it. A line that is intersecting a plane. Again, right, like, take a look at my artistic skills and love them. Number 2, we need a line that does not intersect a plane. Well, this should be pretty easy. They're not intersecting, they're going to be nowhere near each other, and they won't touch each other. So let's just draw that. Again, take a look at this magical plane. You will never be able to draw anything as good as this, so make sure you marvel at it for as long as you possibly can. There's a normal plane. We can call it W. And then a line, well, I'm just drawing it right next to it. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You just have to basically show me that those two lines will never, ever touch. And we will call that line, oh, let's say F for Frank. Last one here, ladies and gentlemen. And again, you will marvel at my drawing skills and what I can do. For you probably will never be able to be this good. And that's okay, because you're still all wonderful people. But this is just where I excel at everything. Number 3, we have 3 planes that are intersecting at one line. This one can be a little weird. What I would start off with, draw a line. It's going to help make this a lot easier than if you were to try to do this with no starting line. Next, draw one plane. I'm going to draw the back one. Again, these dotted lines mean that there's going to be other lines that are, or other planes, excuse me, that'll be in front of it. All right, and what should we name this first plane? A, you said? Great choice. A is always a good letter. Second one we got here. Here's our next plane. Going down. And let's call that plane J is in Jack. And then now we've got our last plane here. Let's draw it very nice. Moving on over. Coming back down. And there you have it. And what shall we name this plane? Oh, let's name it R for rambunctious, because that's how crazy this lesson has been. So again, this, just to kind of reiterate everything here, you're looking at intersections. Intersections between lines, between planes, and between a line and a plane. Again, just to rehash here real quick, when two lines intersect, what do they form? That's right, a point. Great answer, everyone. What happens when two planes intersect? They form a what? That's great. Again, nice job. It's a line. You are so correct. And then when a line and a plane intersect, they form a... Everyone now, don't be shy. Yell it out when you say it. Okay. Very good. It is a point, is when a plane and a line are formed when they intersect. That's all we have here for today. Nice job, everyone. And keep up the fantastic work. We will see you tomorrow.